Welcome to my show. A guest here. His name is Karl Blowing. Mr. Karl, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Mr. Karl. Firstly, you are an author. You are also a poet, writer, and the creator of the Wakeful Hour Press. Can you please, Mr. Karl, discuss more about yourself and how you are doing currently now, Mr. Karl?
Yeah, so um, I only started being an author this year. I basically went through a process. Uh, I had a quite a long career doing work in wholesale and that type of thing. Um, but it basically, I had mental health crisis after mental health crisis, and so everything kind of collapsed for me. But over time, I picked myself back up, and then I decided to get into mental health nursing, and I transformed my life to go into education again at a quite mature age, which was quite a step for me. Uh, been moving through my, and on the side of that, I've just started doing the writing as an outlet, just to organize my thoughts. It started off just a journaling, and then eventually I basically created that book out of it.
Yes, I definitely also agree with you. And also, I get this insight, Mr. Sakal, because, sometimes in life, there are some things that definitely come over us, and we have to definitely have some shift. And having that shift, there are definitely some discoveries, some things that we've actually discovered, and we definitely want to use it to impact the society we find yourself. Ourselves, and that is why I would like to dive to your book, From Existential Crisis to Flicking on the Light Switch, a journal to journeying through the soul. Can you please, Mr. Carl, discuss more on that book? And do you also plan to write more book in the coming future, Mr. Carl?
Yeah, so the book basically started off as journaling, like I said, and through that process, I started to uncover different parts. It was just emotions and thoughts, just letting run free. And so then I started organizing it and putting it into a way that I could connect with it a bit more. I started getting creative with it, and that gave me more interest. So I started layering with metaphors and using those thoughts and emotions to create something that somebody can follow rather than just disorganized thoughts. And there's sections where I go through the unraveling and just being in those emotions, in those thoughts, and trying to understand them and stand next to them rather than trying to criticize or overanalyze. It's just being okay with what you're thinking, whether it's good or bad or no no categorization. It's just understanding those thoughts and feelings and then using that to shape how you are in that moment rather than getting lost in the emotions.
Yes, I definitely agree. And that is why many people today are having the situation whereby they use drug, they do a lot of things, they live life that are more of awkward, which is not meant to be. When we have situations, whether we like it or not, situations will definitely come in our way. And that is the value of the book that you've brought into the society to let them understand triumph to come, up to come, down will come, but we have to know how we could walk through those situations because whether we like it or not, it will definitely come our way. We have to just make sure we do not fall into the wrong path because of the situation we find ourselves. And if we could be able to do that, then definitely, I think things will definitely develop in the life we find ourselves. And also, Mr. Carl, your book really drive more in the area of four perspective, which is descent, remembering, rebellion, and emergence. So your book structured into those four parts. So can you please briefly walk us through the purpose of each stage, Mr. Carl?
Yeah, so basically I I separated it into they're like emotional seasons, let's put it like that. It's not like an actual journey. It's it's just sectioning. those thoughts and feelings into some sort of narrative. So, like, descent is like a type of unraveling, but like that mask we put on. So that mask slips, and then you start to expose yourself more. And it's that exposure, that you can really get deep into something rather than because we try to put that mask on to project to other people how we want to be perceived. But it's being honest with yourself and giving yourself that emotional clarity to be able to move through properly rather than just hide from something because that little pool of emotions and thoughts that you put in somewhere, they're eventually going to come back and bite you in a dangerous way. So being able to examine those thoughts and feelings helps you be able to take control of your own mental health. And then remembering is just basically trying to rediscover who you are beneath all that noise. So having that chance to reflect and put that mirror up so you can look back at yourself and say, this is exactly what's going on. And just try and understand the best you can. It doesn't have to be 100% because you're only dealing with that narrative yourself. And obviously, if you get chance to, you can spread that out into talking to people. But it's about being honest with the people yourself, and then you get a proper recollection of what's going on, rather than those going back to the other part, the mask that you put on, because that doesn't reveal your true self, the honesty. And then there's the rebellion section. So there, you're saying it's trying to get across. You don't have to reduce yourself to. You don't have to shrink to fit in. You can be who you are. Who you are can make a difference in this world, and that authenticity is something that people can connect with. So if you put yourself out there properly, then people can see you for you, and then that's how we build that proper connection, the human connection. And then emergence is it's basically looking back at everything. So I class it as carrying your light forwards. And with the flicking on the light switch, there's all those metaphors through about holding on that candle, holding the light. So even if it's flickering, it's about becoming, not arriving. It's the journey. Everything needs from the beginning to the end. It's just going through that journey. It's not saying I need to be here at the end. It's just like the book doesn't even end with a this is the end. It's because it's a journey. It's a journey that's going to carry on going for the rest of your life. You can walk through where you're at now, but it's not to get to a destination because we never know where that destination could be. That's the way that life is. You just keep moving forward and you take the journey the best way you can. And the book's more about holding up a mirror so you can look at yourself through your own journey rather than telling you this is what you need to do.
Definitely. I 100% agree with you, Mr. Carl. I have to be honest with you. It's really even defined the kind of person I am. This life is just like a journey, as you said. And this journey, we never know the ending. I do not know if today is my day. And that is how tremendously high this life we are into. Nobody knows is ending. And that is why we have to continue to live a life that doesn't have this max that is within us. We have to live a life of, I just feel like we have to just live a life of honesty and humility. I think if the honesty and humility is there, then we can definitely have these features. Getting your book to bring this area and also helping them to drive to a point that they could definitely improve their lives. Because if we could be humble and we could also be honest with what we do, then definitely we can know how we could do things that are more genuine, not with the marks that we have within ourselves. Because honestly speaking, it is very easy to put on a mask. It's the most easiest thing to do, but it doesn't pay. It doesn't benefit. And we have to know how we can definitely improve ourselves to live a life that we benefit every single person in the society. And also, you said journaling, and that is the beauty of what you've brought into the society today, Mr. Carl. Journaling makes you to bring out this profound, lovely book, Mr. Carl. So, what do you think, or what role do you think creativity, poetry, journaling, or artistic expression really plays in emotional healing, Mr. Carl?
So creating is not really about making art for applause. If you can make the art for yourself, or uh, art for what means something, it gives a naturality to that process. It's more like an exhale rather than trying to puff and pant through a. You're trying to put all that pressure on yourself to make it how you think others are going to perceive it. If you're true to your own message, then you can let go of a part of yourself. So that's where you can do that emotional healing, is letting go of that part of yourself to the world so people can see it. You get that proper feedback, and it gives like a window to that part of ourselves where we've kept it sealed. And don't get me wrong, like poetry, metaphors, the journaling, it helps us to process, and it gives us something that's dealing with what's too big for logical speech, to be able to just control it in a narrative that works. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect. It's just let go of the message, like I did with a book. You let go of the message, and then try and create something from that, rather than trying to force a snowplow through the snow. Just walk over the snow and keep going. You might get stuck sometimes, but the footprints in the snow gives you a path that you've walked, and you can always push yourself through, no matter how deep that snow is. We're humans; we can find a way. And there's the other point where you don't have to smuggle the truth into the world to make it bearable. You can you can be authentic with that message, and then people will resonate with it.
Yes, living a life of free journal, free life, nobody knows the ending. And definitely, we shouldn't make, when we're even journaling, we should definitely not try to make it hard on ourselves. We should try to make it more easier, more free, so that we could be able to express every single thing. And as you said, we should not try our best to force the truth. Some people will want to just try to bring in the truth, stuff like that. It is not necessary. We want to live a life, and also the benefits that a journaling can do to one is just to make it free, so that we could definitely express ourselves. And if it could be something that could impact the society in the coming future, then definitely they can definitely try to express that, like just like what you've done, Mr. Cow, bringing it as a profound book that could definitely impact the society. Also, I would like to also dive to culture obsessed. In this world that we are today, the world is more of isolated, and we are also in a world whereby a lot of people are more of, alone and stuff like that. The culture have changed, the community have changed, even climates, to be honest with you, have changed. So it's very, 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 very tough. So in a culture really obsessed with, productivity, how do you think we can also try our best to reclaim rest, stillness, and softness as forms of strength, Mr. Carl?
Um, so basically, it's not about trying to be anything. It's trying to accept that rest is not a weakness. Rest is how we recover, and you don't have to feel guilty for that rest. So you think of it like, in the way that society is trying to make us feel that everything has to be a certain way. You sometimes you can't conform to that that silhouette that somebody's asking you to be at that exact moment. So you think of it like rest is not weakness, it's a rebellion. You have to fight against those out external forces to protect what your inner self. Like you can't always be what somebody wants you to be. You need to be who you are at that moment and what's best for you. Like a stillness is not stuck, it's stability, you know? It's holding on to that part of you that needs to be in this moment at that moment. Because in a world that profits from our depletion, choosing rest is a radicalization. Is rather than push yourself to breakdown, just break that system that's trying to break you down.
Mm.
Like a softness doesn't mean you're fragile. It means you're resilient without being rigid. So you can shape the narrative to what best fits your life rather than following somebody else's narrative and being that little mouse that's following the Pied Piper.
Definitely. That is just the beauty of the life that we are. The time that we are, we do know that a lot of people are being forced to, follow a line or live a life through a life. But we have to know, as you said, we also just try to, like, we just need to know what really works for us. We have to know how we could be productive in our own way. We have to know how we could impact the world that we find ourselves in our own way, so that definitely what could be working, or how the trends, or how every single person wants to be following the trend, might not really be something that might be fit with what you are also doing. And one has to try his or her best to know how it could fix that, because this life that we are definitely going to do what we know we can do, and definitely we will definitely live one day. And that is the beauty of the life we find ourselves. So thank you so much for that powerful insight, Mr. Carl. Lastly, Mr. Carl, a lot of listeners want to, get to get more aligned with the relationship with their emotional world. So how do you think listeners can begin to build a new, more aligned relationship with their emotional world? And also, if you could also leave the listeners with one message, Mr. Carl, from your book, which is the From External Crisis to Flinking the Light Switch, what do you think it will be, Mr. Carl?
So the message I put out in From an Existential Crisis to Flicking on the Light Switch is you've got to start with your truth. Like it could be a quiet truth, maybe just to yourself, but it's got to be true. You've got to sit with your emotions like they're your friend, you know, and there's no need to fix it. You just witness it, be a part of it, and then that process naturally works. It's when you're honest with yourself, how you're thinking, how you're feeling. You stop saying, I need to think or feel this way because somebody else tells me, or a system tells me, or an algorithm tells me, because we get fed all these things on our screens and we but we don't have to. Disconnecting from those type of things and being true to yourself. Do I believe what I'm seeing? Do I believe the way that's making me feel? Or am I being told to feel this way or think that way?
Mm.
Those conversations, it just allows you to say, uh, like alignment is not about being happy all the time. You know, we go up and down. It's just being honest with what's real. Like saying no is a way of saying yes to what matters. You know, you there's a whole chapter in the book about giving that authority to say no. It's not saying say no to everything. It's just when you need to say no. Because it's not about what somebody else wants. Sometimes you have to protect that inner part of yourself. But to the next point, the one message I would leave to the listeners, about, especially those that are struggling, is to say you're not broken.
Mm.
You're just in the middle of something that's real. Like when we confront that reality, sometimes it can be shocking. It can be overwhelming because we're in that society that rewards us for numbing ourselves. If you shut up and sit in the corner, we'll like you more because you're doing what we want you to do. But it's not about doing that. It's about giving your authentic self that
Mm.
voice. Then you can start to have that conversation with yourself. And then you can start to evolve into the person you're supposed to be rather than the person people want you to be. It's it's just basically trying to be brave for yourself. It can be hard, it can be daunting, but confronting all those negative emotions can teach you that way to be honest with yourself. And that's all it's about. The whole book is about being honest. I put my whole self on the page so that other people, they can say, I can relate with this bit, I can relate with that bit. But no matter what, it's about an honest story of being a human, basically. Like, we've all got thoughts, we've all got feelings, and it's okay. You know, just because you feel like you're overwhelmed by something doesn't mean you're broken. We all go through struggles. But what defines the people that have the mental health crises and the people that are able to move through them is having that honesty. Because if you hide from something, eventually it's going to come back and bite you.
Definitely. Completely agree with you, Mr. Carl. Living a life of truth, staying true to oneself, not living a life of marks, living a life of honesty. If one can live that type of life, I think a lot of issue will drop. Mind, there are a lot of sacrifice that goes with it. And we have to know how we could conquer every single one of the triumphs that come with that type of life. But that is the best life we could definitely have, because we have to live life that will make us to be proud and also to be happy with the position we find ourselves, not because of one person or that person. It's because of the inner self and how one can definitely build it to also become a better person to impact the society. So living the true self, living the honesty, and living a life that have the kind of productivity is very, very essential. Thank you so much for the insight, Mr. Carl. Mr. Carl, there's a question I normally ask during the end of the show. From the forefathers, from the ancestors, there are a lot of beautiful things that do exist during our ancestral time that is missing in our time today. If there is anyone or anything you would like to bring back to our time today, Mr. Carl, what do you think that thing would be, Mr. Carl?
I think I would like to bring back meaningful apprenticeship. Like, obviously, we have apprenticeships in this world now, but there's something where you get given on a screen and you kind of do the job, and hopefully you work it out along your way. And before, apprenticeships were working alongside a master, somebody that had done the craft their whole life and passing down onto the next generation. You know, like the examples of blacksmiths in the medieval times, or the Renaissance painters. They were great at their job because they did it their whole lives, but they didn't just hold on to that. They had their little trainees that they would take along with them, and those children in their teenage years, they would be working alongside a master of their craft, and they would get built up into giving them the path to become that master themselves. But in our modern day, we just hopefully you'll learn along the way. You might get a year or two to work with somebody, but then you're dropped in the ocean and expected to swim. So if it was gone back to that old way where there was the human connection, not just dropped through that dangerous water, then it would build that patience, the mastery, the human connection that I think we really need now. Um, because, like, internships, you know, there's no hand-on mentorship there. There's just sitting in a class, 20 people, the top person gets through. You know, it's like a game show. You know, the one person gets to go and the rest of them get dropped. There's no guiding, no learning there. It's just, if you're the best, you get to go. And that sort of things in every sort of way of life now. Is the top person gets to make it and the rest of the people get dropped. If everybody had an opportunity, no matter on education or any social class or anything like that, that they get to work alongside a master of the craft, then people would pick up tangible skills that could last them for a lifetime, to give them a vocation, give them a meaning. But now there's so many people dropping through those cracks in society because they don't have a purpose because they're not given a chance to have a purpose. You know, so like a saying is like we're drowning in information, but we're starving for wisdom. You know, because we've got access to everything on the internet, but that doesn't give us that proper life lived experience. When you work through something yourself, hand to hand, person to person, that human connection, something's built. Like that's how the great monuments were built. A cooperation, a collaboration, people working towards one goal. And if our one goal was to give a society where everybody had a chance to do something meaningful, then I think we would flourish through the opportunity rather than, like I said, so many people slipping through the gaps and then going through that existential crisis because they don't know what they're supposed to do.
I honestly agree with you with this, Mr. Carl. Even I myself, as a person, I usually, you know, really notice this thing, and I really used to ask myself, like, why is it like that? What is really making it to be like that? Why are some people being, picked, and some people being bring up, and some people are just dumped for no reason? Why is it like that? Why can't every single person have this human connection, have this generosity of community, and grow? That is the only way we can grow. If we are living a life of imbalance, then every single thing will definitely not be balanced. We shouldn't be having one person 10, then the other person 4 or 5. And even if we check those two-person, even the one that has 4 or 5 might even know more than the one that has 10, and the one that is 10 is on top. And that is what we are realizing in the time that we are currently. Human connection and being picked, and also giving every single person the opportunity to do it in their own way and try to bring them up. That is only way that every single one of us can be developed and grow to bring an impactful society we find ourselves. We are not here for life. We are only here for the main time. And with the main time that we've brought ourselves, we should definitely let every single person be impacted, or also bring the insights of what they want to bring to the table. I want to also sincerely thank you for the opportunity and the time for the talk. This is a very, very important conversation. A lot of people currently now are just living a life of pretending, having these marks, and it is not necessary. If we could be honest with ourselves, then we'll definitely conquer the world. Thank you so much, Mr. Carl.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
All right. Have a wonderful day, Mr. Carl. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.